Wow, this is embarrassing. Only because of my pajama shirt. Hopefully my camera doesn't die because I have been sitting here journaling, and I mean, what I journaled about isn't really anything. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just wanted to read a little part of my journal entry that I just did. For a little background, also trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about mental health and anxiety and things like OCD for anybody that stumbles upon this and doesn't want to hear about it, because I know talking about those things can be triggering to some people that are going through it. But okay, I'm back. I just have a light on. So a little background, I'm going to be really vulnerable here. I have been dealing with, obviously most of us nowadays deal with anxiety, some worse than others, some can get out of their heads better than others, but I have been one of those people that have a lot of trouble with getting out of their head. When it comes to anxiety, throughout my life, I can pinpoint certain parts throughout my life where it has caused me so much distress that like I couldn't function, which is horrifying, especially if you've ever felt like if you've ever been through panic attacks or anxiety attacks. I know they're two different things, but panic attacks are absolutely horrible. And I went through something last year called like derealization or something like that, where I felt like my anxiety was so bad and I was so depressed that I started to have these moments where I felt like, I'm like, what if I'm not real? Like, just stuff like that. And I think that I most likely have pure OCD, which isn't like the typical OCD that you hear about where it's like you're scared of germs or you have to wash your hands like a certain amount of times. But I have, which is like the common one that most people hear about. I think most likely I have pure OCD, and I'm working with a therapist right now trying to figure out how to go about dealing with that and like whatever. But I know there's a couple people in my life that have it as well, and I've been conversing with them back and forth for like a while now. And we go through, oh, my camera's gonna die. We go through the exact same things. I'm gonna have to switch to my phone. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, sorry if it looks a little different. I'm on my phone now. But anyways, sorry. We go through a lot of very similar things when it comes to our anxiety and intrusive thoughts. And for a long time, I've been dealing with this, like the intrusive thoughts and like repetitive thoughts and stuff like that, and fears and stuff, since I was in middle school. And I wish that like at the time there was better help that I could have had. Unfortunately, there wasn't. Like, I was in therapy, but it just wasn't working for me. And nobody ever really asked good questions, and I was young and I didn't really understand what was going on in my body and in my brain. But anyways, I used to get really, really bad harm OCD thoughts, and like as I've gotten older and I've just tried to suppress it, it's developed into other intrusive thoughts that I'm not really going to talk about because I just don't want to, like, I don't know. It's a very vulnerable thing. But you could do your research if you want. But, anyways, just like things that sound silly that I know aren't true, but my brain will tell me, yes, like this is happening, this is true. Like last year, for example, my brain, like, was just telling me, like, what if you're not real? What if your reality's fake? What if everything you're experiencing isn't real? And like I had a lot of really, really, really scary experiences with my anxiety, and it's not something I talk about a lot, but I know maybe if I post it on here, this will help somebody feel less alone and less crazy. The more I've researched into pure OCD, the better I've actually felt about what's going on in my head, because my whole life I literally thought I was crazy. Like, I'm like, somebody's gonna lock me up in a psych ward. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you have to go there to get help, completely understandable, not judging that. But I'm just talking about my own fears. I always had a fear of going crazy, or that like I was crazy because of my intrusive thoughts. And I learned that like the things that I was horrified of wasn't actually me, and it's just my brain, like I say, misfiring. It's my brain misfiring. um so I've definitely found a lot of comfort in knowing that like I'm not a bad person, or like I'm not crazy. It's just an chemical imbalance in my brain. And it sucks because on top of that, I'm a very extremely spiritual person, and I know I'm such a loving person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Sometimes I feel like my heart is too big for my body. Like sometimes I feel like I care too much and whatever. But anyways, that's just a little, like the tiniest little background of what I've been going through in my life currently and the journey I've been on. But I started a journal entry like 10 minutes ago. Journaling has helped me so much. If you ever feel like your thoughts are cluttered and you're feeling like anxious or there's antsy, I get like that a lot, especially at night. And I'm like, I notice like, okay, there's a lot of thoughts going through my brain. I need to get it out. So I guess I'll just read this entry, and I feel like it might help somebody. So this is a little part of what I journaled. I said, God made me a phoenix, a woman who grows through self-reflection and experiences. He made me with a heart that's too big for my body. Though it's hard, I try to embrace it. People often view my caring as a weakness that needs to be fixed, and it hurts. So many people in my past have told me that I don't have a backbone, that I'm too much of this and too much of that. They made me feel like I'm broken, faulty, that I'm something that needs to be fixed. I understand that fear is an illusion, that it really has no power, that as humans we have the choice to give in to it or not. That's the hardest part, teetering on the edge of giving in. It's kind of like tripping on, I'm not going to say the thing, but when you feel the come up and you know you have to make that choice to let go, to let the medicine take you where it wants to go, show you what you've been needing to see. That's the beauty of it all. We have a choice. My fear isn't actually me. It isn't my soul, my essence. When I leave this body one day, it will stay behind. Fear is the product of your mind, not your awareness or consciousness. Fear is the ultimate illusion. It only helps us in certain scenarios when we're actually in danger, like being attacked by someone. It alerts our body that there's a threat. But with the way our world is structured, we've been taught to live in our heads and no further. So what I meant by that is like just the way that our world is, especially with the media and us like doom scrolling and having constant distractions, especially with like consumerism and needing the next best thing. And like just the way our society is structured here, there's no room for stillness in our lives. There's no room for self-reflection and learning how to be calm in our own bodies and in our own minds. And that results into all of us having so many issues, like mental health issues, physical issues, because like stress is the leading cause of sickness, whether it's in your head or in your body. And I think that like I know a lot of people are becoming more aware of that, but it's still not as well known as it should be. And it's kind of funny because even though me personally, like, even though I'm very, very self-aware as a person, and I feel like I am a phoenix, like I'm constantly going through deaths and rebirths in my own body, my own mind, constantly, and every day is a new opportunity to learn something, and become a better version of myself and more loving and caring and understanding as a person. Like, even though I do have these knowings, or these, not values, but like even though I'm aware of these things, it doesn't always mean that the anxiety isn't going to come up, or the intrusive thoughts aren't going to come up, or the panic isn't going to come up. Because I think that sometimes, like, when we're going through this and you are spiritual and you are very self-aware, we forget, like, oh wait, I am human and these are things that I need to take care of, or like, these are, like, I can't just ignore what my body's telling me. Like, I don't know. I hope this made sense, but I've always felt like, as a human being, that, like, it's always been in, like, okay, it's always been in my nature to take care of people. And I've always been a nurturer. Like, so for example, there's this girl that, I forget her name, oh my gosh, but I'm really into Ayurveda. Like, I love learning about it. I was in school to be a holistic nutrition coach, and we talked a little bit about Ayurveda. Um, but like, I'm very passionate about all that stuff. And oh my gosh, Sahara Rose, that's her name. Sahara Rose, she's an amazing, beautiful human being. She has a podcast, a cookbook. She's got, like, I bought this one journal off of her with this tarot card deck like a couple years ago, and it really, like, helps you get into a gratitude mindset, and tries to help get you out of survival mode and into your like, back into your body and grounding yourself. But anyways, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Where was I going with that? Okay, I just remembered what I was trying to say. I had to watch a video again. Okay, so she actually has, okay, Sahara Rose has a test, like this little thing online. If I could find it, I'll link it, about finding out your purpose, because that's one thing that she helps you figure out as a person, based off of your personality and, like, your passions and what you like, what you value in life. Mine was nurturer, and I'm like, okay, how the heck do I find a career in being a nurturer or whatever? Because that is, like, that is who I am. I'm a nurturer. Like, I'm always wanting to take care of everybody and listen to everybody vent and, like, be there for everybody. And I always felt this deep, or I always had this deep knowing within me that I always wanted to help people, but I never knew how. And it sucks because I would, like, go through the list of jobs and I'm like, I can't work in the medical field because I just don't have the stomach for that. And I would cry 24/7 if something bad happened to people. Like, I'm not made for that, unfortunately. And then another one, I was like, maybe I could do therapy, but then I'm like, I'm just so empathetic that, like, sometimes I have trouble when it comes to setting boundaries or keep putting that wall up, because I feel like I absorb everything from everyone around me and I take it on. And I've been learning to not do that and try and, like, have boundaries for myself. So I'm like, yeah, right now, probably not. That's probably not the best option, even though in my birth chart it does say that that's one of the career paths. But anyways, so I settled on a holistic nutrition coach, which is a big step out of my comfort zone, because it's just a big step, like, coaching somebody. Anyways, yeah, I'm a nurturer, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted this platform anyway. And I want it to be so authentically real and possible, like, online, because I just feel like our world needs more of it. Our world needs more people that are authentic and want to help humanity, whether it's just through speaking or their words or what they've gone through in life. Because I feel like, as human beings, we are just so caught up in what we're going through that we forget that there's other people out there that are actually going through the same exact thing. And sometimes you can find comfort in knowing that, that's somebody else out there. Like, if I ever post something, or if I ever talk to somebody about what I'm going through and they're like, oh my God, I've been through the same thing, or I know what you're going through, I'm like, oh, that's such a relief, because, like, now I feel less alone and, like, less crazy or less up in my head. Like, for example, with the OCD thing, because for so long I've suffered thinking that, like, something, like, I just knew something was off, like, in my brain. And I'm like, I know these thoughts like aren't me, and these fears aren't me. Like, what is actually going on? And the thing with like pure OCD is like, you need to know the why. Why am I getting this thought? Most people are like, oh, that was a weird thought. Okay, bye. Like, can they just move on? Like, people with pure OCD, like, they absolutely cannot. And that's how I am. Like, I'm like, why am I getting this? This isn't me. This is scary. This is. And I'll go into fight, flight, or freeze. And most of the time, I'll like end up freezing. Sometimes I'll go into flight where I'm like, I can't do this. I need to distract myself. Um, But yeah, anyways, that could be like a whole nother video. I haven't been diagnosed, but I know I have it. Like, there's no doubt. Like, everything in my body is just like, yeah, you do. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I wrote that down. I'm like, I feel like somebody out there needs to hear this as well. And a lot of what I've learned about fear and how it's an illusion is from a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, I think his name is. And I read it back in like 2018, I want to say. Um, and that book really helped change a lot. Like, it helped transform a lot. Did it make everything go away? No, because I'm human and I'm not just a soul right now. Like, I am in a human body. I'm a soul in a body. So, of course, there's going to be trials and tribulations and things that come up that I have to deal with. And of course, we all battle things in our own body and in our own mind. And we have to really learn to give ourselves grace and love as much as we can. And honestly, like, we always have a choice, even though it's easier said than done. Don't forget that. You always have a choice. You could either, sit in it or move through it. And a lot of the times in my life when it came to these anxieties, I would suppress it and not deal with it, which just makes it get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is very scary. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't know how to move through it properly. Um, it's so funny, and this is probably going to be so random, but the Beatles have, like, there's this artwork from the Beatles, and I forget which album it's from, but it's a guy, and it looks like he's, like, flying through the air, and it says, just passing through. And I remember watching Across the Universe, the musical movie, when I was younger, and that always, like, seeing that piece of artwork in the movie always stuck with me and still does, because honestly, like, that's the human experience. Like, we're just passing through, and we have to, like, that's how I kind of look at my thoughts. Like, and sometimes they're scary and I attach, and it's just my brain misfiring. um just pass through them if you can. Like I said, it's easier said than done, and I'm talking about all this, and it does bring up a lot of anxiety, and I feel it in my chest, but I'm trying to give myself grace, and I know this, if this helps one person out there, then that's all I care about. It's true. Like, that's really all I care about. And if you are going through hard times, just know that this too shall pass, and everything's going to be okay, and you're going to get through it, and seek the help that you need. There's always room for change. This is going to sound so cheesy, but one thing that always helps me, and like, when I heard it in the past, I'm like, oh, whatever, like, I don't want to hear that, basically. The one thing that has helped me recently is knowing that tomorrow is the start of a brand new day. You could wake up tomorrow and be in such a good mood. Anything can happen tomorrow, you know? So just remember that, and try and have grace for yourself. Sorry if this video was a little long, but if you stuck through, proud of you. Yeah. Have a great day wherever you are, and keep your head up. You are loved beyond anything you could ever imagine.